Begin today the Gemara on Daf Nun Hey, 6 lines down from the top of the Yamud. Nun Hey, 6 lines down from the top of the Yamud where it says Shal Agrifis. The Gemara here is continuing different discussions at the war between the Chachmei Yisrael and philosophers and Goyim. It said in the Mishnah, Shal is Haskein and Bereimi about Avoda Zara. If the Eibishter despises Avoda Zara in this world, so why doesn't he just get rid of it? That was a discussion here. So the Gemara brings here another discussion that there was about this. Shal Agrifis Sar Tzava Es Rabbi Gamliel. Agrifis, which was the general in the army. So he asked Rabbi Gamliel the question. Rashi here points out that there was the Agrifis HaMelech, but this was Agrifis that was a Sar Tzava. So he asked the question, in your Torah it says, the Eibishter is fire. Kel Kana. And you could translate the word Kel Kana that Hashem is a jealous God. So now what does this mean? Klom miskana ela chacham b'chacham. Jealousy is between one chacham and another, or gibayr b'gibayr, one strong person and another, or v'asher b'asher, one wealthy man and another. But the Eibishter, jealousy from what? Avoda Zara, or are there entities that have no significance at all? Amalai, so Rabbi Gamliel answered him, here, this is the analogy to understand what this pasuk is saying. La'adam shenasa isha al ishtoi, a person that's married, and he marries a second wife. So nachshuva mimena, if the second wife he marries is more distinguished than the first, so ein miskana ba. So then the level of jealousy that there is not so strong, because the first wife understands that my husband went and married someone else that's more distinguished than me. So she can make peace with the fact. But if after the husband's married to her, he goes and marries another wife that's on a lower level than her, why is he doing this? Why is he marrying someone that's on a lower level than her? Miskanabo. That's when there is a real level of kinna where the first wife is upset about the fact that the husband is doing such a thing to get married to a wife that's even less than her. So Rashi here explains, we have here actually in the Hagos V'Tziyunim, they bring from the Ksav Yad of Rashi, that the taich in the pasuk when it says that the Eibush is a Kel Kana, it's a Kel Kana regarding Yidden. The fact that Yidden have the Eibishter, which is the real thing, and if Chas v'Shalom a Yid leaves the Eibishter, which is a Makar, Mayim, Chayim, and go and serve Avoda Zara, which is nonsense. So here the kinna means actually the vengeance that the Eibishter has, the sinner that the Eibishter has to the activity of a Yid, Chas v'Shalom, that goes and serves Avoda Zara, that has absolutely no value to it. Another conversation the Gemara brings, Amalei Zunin l'Rav Akiva Zunin. Rashi says he was a Yid. He said to Rav Akiva, Libi v'libcha yada, my heart and your heart, we know the truth. Avoda Zara has absolutely no tangibility to it. But on the other hand, though, but we see people, the Ozli kimizbiri, they walk and they're going to Avoda Zara and they're limping and their limbs are not healthy. And v'asu kimitzbiri, and when they come back, we see they come back healthy and their limbs are in place. It seems like that they got helped by the Avoda Zara that they went to. My timer, what's the reason for this? Amalei Rabbi Akiva answers him, so I'll give you the following analogy. There was a trusted person that was living in a city. People would give them items to keep as a deposit, and they would give it without any witnesses. They didn't feel like they need any proof for this, that he's holding something for them because he's a trusted person. But now comes one person and he did not trust him. And he gives a pekadon, he gives a deposit only in the presence of witnesses. One time, he forgot to bring Eidim. And he came and he gave the deposit to this trusted man without any witnesses. So his wife notices this. His wife says, let's come and deny, when he comes to collect his deposit, let's deny that we have it. Right, this man never trusts us. He always comes with Eidim because he doesn't trust us. So now that he did not have Eidim, so now we can get back at him and not give him back his deposit. So the man says to his wife, because this fool did something that's not appropriate, he doesn't trust us, and this time he forgot to bring the Eidim. We should lose our trust as well. We are going to do what's right, and we'll return him the object in the time when he comes in to collect it. So what's the nimshal? Says Rabbi Akiva, af kach, so too here, regarding these people that you say that they were walking, limping, and they come back from Avoda Zara healthy, Yisurin, all pain and suffering that come into the world. At the time when they're being sent into the world on a person, they take an oath that they should come to the person exactly on the day that Hashem wants it to be. And and they should leave the person in a specific time, a specific day, specific hour, and validei pleni, and through whoever it is, through whoever will heal him, validei sam pleni, and through whatever medical ways that'll happen. So it's l'chatchila. Whatever a person goes through in this world, the suffering that he has is all very specific in a specific time. So when the time comes for the Yisurim that this person is suffering to leave, halach zeh lebeis Avodas Kechavim, was punked at that time that this person went to the house of Avoda Zara. So now what happened? Amru Yisurim. So now the suffering of these people comes and says to the Eibishter, Dinu shalei neitzeh. It would be the right thing that this is not a good time for us to leave this person. But they come back and they say that no, we are going to leave this person at this time because that was the intended time when the Yisurim were meant to leave this person. And they say, because this fool did something inappropriate and punked at this time when the Yisurim are supposed to leave him, he's in a house of Avoda Zara on the Nevet Shuaseinu. We're going to lose our faithfulness that we swore that we are only going to remain in the person at the time when they're supposed to be there, when the Yisurim are supposed to be in this person. And so Rabbi Akiva is saying that everything is designed Milmaila, has nothing to do with Avoda Zara. And just because a Yid does foolish things, in this case they went to the house of Avoda Zara, it doesn't mean that the way things are designed Milmaila are going to change. This is what Rabbi Yechanan says. This is the taich, the pasuk. It says, "V'chaloyim royim v'ne'amonim." It is the illness which is bad and which is faithful. What's pshat faithful? Royim b'shlichusan. Royim means that they do their shlichus, that they come and cause pain to a person. V'ne'amonim. Faithful means b'shvuasan. The oath that is administered on this koyach of the yisurim that come on a person, that it's only the exact time that's intended, not a second more.
Doesn't this mean that the person has some kind of an intuition or some kind of a mazel?
Possibly.
Goes to the Avoda Zara just when he's going to...
Maybe. Amalei Rave Barav Yitzchak L'Rav Yehuda. Rave Barav Yitzchak asks Rav Yehuda the question, also a similar kind of shaila, that regarding Avoda Zara. Ha'ike beis Avodas Kechavim Basrin. There's an Avoda Zara in our location. When the world needs rain, Mischazi Lahu B'chalma, the Avoda Zara appears to them in a dream, and it tells them, Shachtuli Gavre, come and slaughter a person for me, and V'aisi Mitra, and the rain will come. And they fulfill this, Shachtuli Gavre, they kill a person for the sake of the Avoda Zara, V'asi Mitra, and the rain comes. So we see the power of the Avoda Zara. How could this be? So Amalei, Rav Yehuda answers him and says, Hashta, it's good you asked me this question now, because if I would have already passed away, I wouldn't be here to give you the answer. And to explain you this, that Rav said, what's the meaning of the pasuk where it says, the beginning of that pasuk speaks about Avoda Zara. And it says that the goyim v'shtachavisa lehem v'avadtam ashachalak Hashem lekecha yisam chalamim, which sounds like the Eibush is saying that he gave them this portion of Avoda Zara. What does this mean? He gave them this Avoda Zara to worship. And what it means is melame. The pasuk chalak here means she'echlikan b'dvarim, that the Eibush allows them to slip in valuing and serving Avoda Zara. The Eibishter allows them to see things that have the koyach of Kishiv and the koyach of Avoda Zara, and that they could slip up on this and make the mistake of serving Avoda Zara. Why? Kedei l'tardim in olam, in order then to destroy and expel Goyim from the world, those that serve Avoda Zara. That's why the Eibishter allows powers of Avoda Zara in the world. This is what Ish Lakish said. Mai d'chsiv. What's the meaning of the pasuk where it says Im leleitzim hu yolitz? A person that's a letz, he's making a mockery out of things. Hu yalitz, he'll end up being involved in that litzanis. And for one that's humble, yitin chayin, Hashem gives grace. What this means is that ba letame, a person that comes to be impure, paischenloi, the Eibishter allows him. He opens up the possibility for him. Ba letayer, if a person comes to purify himself, or litoher, the way to read it is ba litayer, a person comes to be pure, Messiah Naisei. Here the Eibishter assists him. As you see here in the Lashon of the Gemara, regarding a person that comes to be Tomei, the Eibishter allows him. But by Litoy, when a person comes to purify himself, then Messiah Naisei, it's much more. The Pasuk says Yitin Chen, the Eibishter assists him and helps him become pure. The simple taich of the Gemara, as I said, you have to read it Litoher. That's the meaning that a person wants to purify himself. But I believe the Alter Rebbe and Lekutei Torah and in other places it says that you could also read it as Ba Habal Latayr, when one comes not only to purify himself but to purify others and help others be pure. Then Messiah Naisei, the Eibishter assists him in his Avodas Hashem.
So these are two different answers between Rabbi Akiva and between Rabbi.
Yeah.
Hashem is making it going because of the help the witnesses.
No. It's two different points. One is regarding the Avoda Zara. Regarding the Avoda Zara, it says Balatame, Paischen. That's therefore the Eibishter allows the Avoda Zara to have certain kaiches in the world that opens up the possibility for them to serve. But then when you get to Avodas Hashem, to serve the Eibishter, Balatayr, Messiah Naisei. Here there's a great level of assistance on a whole different level to come and serve the Eibishter. That's to cause them to slip on Avoda Zara. Even a Yid also. Possible, yeah.
So this is the whole scenario for Bechira.
Correct. This is the concept. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Hashem, whatever you want, Hashem will help you.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Next Mishnah. Here, this Mishnah returns to the subject of one of the things, which is Tekrevis, Avoda Zara, things that are sacrificed to Avoda Zara. And one of them, we already learned earlier in the Masechta Barichas, wine. Yayin Nesach, the Goyim would pour the wine for Avoda Zara, and that becomes Asur Bahana. And the Mishnah we learned already before, it tells us that Stam Yenam, any wine of Goyim, because it could be wine that the Goy poured for Avoda Zara, so Chacham Wagaiza, any Stam wine of a Goy that he touched and it's his, it becomes Asur to have any anah from it. So here this Mishnah will discuss exactly at what point is this wine, the wine of the Goy, that becomes Asur. So you have the grapes that the Goy is pressing in his wine press, and there's different levels and stages of the process of this wine. You're allowed to buy wine that is from the wine press of a guy where it hasn't, the process of this wine is not done yet. It's the grapes that the guy stepped on it and it's partially crushed and there's some wine there, but it's not yet the wine that drips and goes down into the pit where the wine is stored there. So at this stage, when it's still together with the grapes itself and it was just crushed a little bit, that you can buy from a guy. And that's even further where the Mishnah says, even if, what happens after the guy, first you crush the wine a little bit by foot or by hand, and then he takes that grapes that are partially pressed, and he picks it up and puts it on a tapuach. Tapuach was this pile where all the grapes are in the wine press. And then on that pile of the grapes is where you have a big, heavy board that will press it. So the guy himself is taking and touching this wine and lifting it up and placing it on this tapuach. Still, it will not make this wine asur. The Tana of this Mishnah says that yayin nesach is only after the wine flows down, after it was pressed, and it flows down into a boir, into a pit where the wine is kept. As the Mishnah goes on to say, that ve'ena oise yayin nesach, this wine does not become yayin nesach ad sheyered leboir, until the wine flows down the wine press into the pit where it's kept. Yarad leboir, once the wine flows into that pit, masha beboir aser, whatever wine is in the pit is going to be forbidden. That's the stam yenim of a guy, and vashar mutter. What's still left above in the wine press, not in the pit, will be allowed.
Does this mean even if there's some kind of chibur between them, or they're two?
That doesn't matter. Doesn't make a difference. Whatever's outside of the pit will be mutter. Okay, so now here the Mishnah continues also regarding the wine press of a guy, but this actually introduces also another detail to this halacha which Rashi brings here. We'll see also from the Gemara, and that is that we're talking about a in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, there's a gzeira of Chachamim that you may not cause any tumah. And the reason for this is because in Eretz Yisrael there were many Yidden that used to eat all their chulin, not only truma, but b'chlal, all foods, they would eat it all betara. So because of this, Chachamim will geyser that in Eretz Yisrael, a Yid may not cause anything to be Tomei. Okay, that's one of the points here that the next part of the Mishnah is based on. Okay, so the Mishnah goes on to say, Doirchim im mo'evik begas. You may help a guy or work for a guy in the wine press to press his wine. The wine that's there in that stage of the work that's being done with the pressing of the wine before it flows into the pit. So now, why is this allowed? So the reason is because there's no Isser Hana. As we just explained, the Tana of this Mishnah holds that the wine before it goes into the pit is not yet the Stam Yenim of a guy. It's the wine that's still in the wine press above the ground. There, this wine is not asaba no. So therefore, if you're working for a guy and you're getting paid for this work, the money you're making, you're not getting any hana from any wine that's asaba no. It's one point. Okay. Now there's also another point here, as I mentioned, the Indian of tumah. This wine press of the guy is tamei. So if you're pressing the wine together with the guy, you're causing tumah, aren't you? And you're not allowed to cause tumah in Eretz Yisrael. But you're not causing tumah here. The guy is the one that's pressing this wine, and it's already tumah. You're just helping him with this, and therefore you're not the one that's causing this tumah, and you're not the guy. The guy himself, he is not included in this gzeira of chachamim not to cause the tumah. He's a guy, and when you're helping the guy do this, since it anyways is already wine, it's grapes with wine that's tamei, and you're just assisting him in this, so you're not helping a guy do an aveda. For him, it's not an aveda, and you're not the one that's causing the tumah either, because he was anyways pressing the grapes already there. So therefore, at this stage, the work that a yid does with the guy in the wine press, there's no problem. Where is there a problem to help a guy in his vineyard and help him to bring the wine to the press? Avoloi baitzri nimoi. You're not allowed to go with the guy in the harvest season in the vineyard and cut the grapes to bring it to the wine press. Because over here, you're actually the one that's causing tumah in Eretz Yisrael. Because this is a vineyard from a guy, and you're helping him cut his grapes to do what with it? To take it to his wine press and press the grapes and make them tummy. If it would be a vineyard of a yid, the yid would take it and be careful with it and keep it betara and press it in his wine press, which is all tired. If you're helping a guy in his vineyard, you're helping add tumah in Eretz Yisrael, that a guy is going to press it in his wine press. That's not allowed.
Is this only the tumah of a guy that's the rabbanon?
No. It's not connected to that. No. This is a tumah. This is a guy's wine press is tamei. Yisrael shu oiseh b'tumah. Second. Let's continue the Mishnah. Yisrael shu oiseh b'tumah. A yid that is doing this work in his wine press, and this yid is not careful with his wine press, and the wine press is tamei. Now, in such a case, loy derchin, you're not allowed to press the wine with him in the wine press, and v'loy baitzri nimoi, and you're not allowed to help him in the harvest to cut the grapes in the vineyard. Now, what's the reason for this? Because in this case, this yid, he's himself not allowed to cause tumah in Eretz Yisrael. If you're going to be there helping this yid in his wine press, you're a Messiah Lidvar Aveda. You're helping another Yid that's doing an Aveda, causing Tumah in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, with another Yid, you're not allowed to help him press his wine in the wine press, and you're definitely also not allowed to cut the grapes with him and help him bring it to his Tomei wine press. Avol, even in this case where this Yid is not careful, and he has this Tomei wine press, Mailichin imoy chavius legas. If you help him bring empty barrels to the wine press that he's then going to fill them with wine, that you're allowed to help him with, because that's not an activity in the actual wine press itself where the tumah he's causing. And also minagas, after the wine is already pressed, then it's already done, and now you have this tumah wine, and he wants to transport this tumah wine in the barrels, you're allowed to help this yid. It's already after the fact. It's a separate thing. You're helping him transport whether the barrels to the wine press or from the wine press, that's going to be allowed. Similar halacha, the Mishnah says, again, the basis of this halacha is about the takon of Chazal, not to cause tumah in Eretz Yisrael. So nachtein, if there's a baker, shuhu oiseh b'tumah, and this is a yid, he's a baker, but he's not careful. He makes the dough all in tummy vessels. So leiloshin v'lo erchin imay, you're not allowed to knead the dough with him and prepare the dough with him, to braid the dough with him, because you're helping him make tamei bread in Eretz Yisrael. Aval melichenimoy pasla palter. After it's all already done, and now he wants to take the prepared dough, the bread, to bring it to a palter, to someone that's going to put it in the oven and bake it. So that you're allowed to assist him with this because you're not assisting him in the tumah itself, in the vessels where he's preparing this dough. Dr. Gemara Rav Huna said, going back to the case of the wine, that yayin, when it comes to wine, that is pressed in the wine press, so the wine is pressed and then it flows down, and it's so the wine press is made on an incline, so the wine could flow down into a pit. So this wine that's being pressed, as soon as this wine starts flowing, so this wine has the halacha of yayin nesach. It's the stam wine of a guy that has the halacha of yayin nesach, and it'll be aser bahana. Okay, so I think Gemara right away asks from what it said in the Mishnah. The Mishnah clearly seemed to say the exact opposite, that it only becomes yayin nesach once it's in the boir, in the pit. So Tanam, what did it say in the Mishnah? You're allowed to buy the wine from the wine press of a guy even after he crushed it. He pressed it with his feet, he hit it, and there was some wine that came out. So this is wine that's flowing in his wine press. And here it says that you're allowed to buy it from a guy. And furthermore, the Mishnah says, "Va'afal pi shenotal or the shenaitel biyadai." He takes it with his hands and v'naisan tapuach, and he puts it on the pile of where all these grapes now are going to be fully pressed. You're allowed to take from the guy there as well. So here you see that even though there's wine that comes out and there's wine that's flowing in the wine press, that it's allowed because it didn't go yet into the pit. Rav Huna, so Rav Huna answers that our Mishnah is speaking about begas pekuka. The Mishnah was speaking about a wine press that the opening into the pit was clogged, and also Malaya, and the entire surface of this wine press was full of grapes. So it's not flowing into the pit. And not only that, the wine that's above ground here in this wine press is not flowing at all. There's so many grapes that he filled it all with that it's all in one place. So if it's not flowing down into the wine pit, and there's also no flow at all, in such a case is where the Mishnah said that it'll be mutter. Tashama, but the Gemara says, well, let's go on to the next line, what the Mishnah said. It won't be yayin nesach until the wine flows down into the pit. So the Mishnah is saying that it's only once it flows into the pit. So the Gemara says, well, this is the same thing. Hachanami begas pekuka amaleya. The Mishnah is saying this because in this case where it's clogged and it's full of grapes, so then the wine that's there will not be aser. It'll only be aser once it goes into the pit. But then the Gemara says, but from the next line of the Mishnah, it's clear, not like what Rav Huna said. Tashama, the Mishnah goes on to say, Yarad lebar. Once the wine flowed into the pit. So here we're clearly talking about a wine press which is not clogged. The wine is flowing, and it's flowing into the pit. So when that wine flows into the pit, Masha bebayr aser, the wine that's in the pit will be aser, but vashar mutter. What remains above that's not in the wine pit will be allowed. So you clearly see here that the wine that's still in the wine press, not in the pit, is mutter. So how does Rav Huna say that as soon as the wine starts flowing, even in the wine press itself, before it goes into the pit, that it'll be aser? So the Gemara says, yeah, it's like the Mishnah is a different Tana, different shitta. Rav Huna says, like Kashya, it's not a contradiction. Ka Mishnah Rishayna, our Mishnah is teaching us the halacha the way it was taught originally, that it's only going to be asabah no once it's in the pit, and kam b'mishnah achrayna. Rav Huna is telling us the halacha the way it was taught later on, that they changed the halacha and they said that even before it flows into the pit, it will be aser. And the Gemara brings a source from this in a Braisa. The Tanya in a Braisa we learned it says, Barishayna hayu. In the beginning they said the halacha and they gave this Rosh Tevis to this halacha. They said badad, 3 halachas, beis daled daled. What are these 3 halachas? The first one was ein beitzrin. You don't cut the grapes with a guy to bring them then to the wine press, because you're not allowed to cause any tumah even to chulin in Eretz Yisrael. This was the chatchila, the gzeira that the Chachamim made in Eretz Yisrael. And when you're cutting with a guy grapes in his vineyard, where is he bringing it to? He's bringing it to his wine press, which is Tommy. So you're not allowed to do the harvest with him. Ve'ein derchen im Yisrael And if it's a yid that's not careful, and his peiris, his produce is done with tumah, so you're not allowed to participate with him in the work that's done in the wine press, even though it's already becoming tummy anyways with what this yid is doing there, but you're not allowed to help him. You're not allowed to help another yid that's doing an aveda because he's being oived on the takon of Chazal, not to cause tumah, even for chulin in Eretz Yisrael. However, you could work for a guy and press wine for him in his wine press. And the reason is because in the Mishnah Rishayna they held that we're not concerned for what Rav Huna said, that it'll be aser bahana, because at this point, when the wine is still above ground in the wine press and it's not inside the pit yet, the wine there is mutter bahana, and therefore there's no problem to help the guy in the work that he's doing. And you're not helping the guy do an aveda. The guy doesn't have this takon of Chazal. The guy is not obligated to keep this. So therefore, you can help the guy in his work in the wine press. But then they changed. V'chazru loymar. Then the Chachamim went and changed, and they said that dabad. That's the girsa that we have it here in the Gemara. But the Bach says that it's supposed to be beis or dalid beis, right? Dabab. The three halachas are dalid, beis, beis. Right before the halachas were beis, dalid. The beis is beitzrin, and then dalid. Two halachas about derchin, the dalid for pressing. Okay, now here the halachas is dalid, beis. So what are these? So they changed the halacha, and there's 2 points, as we'll see here. When they changed the halacha, 2 points changed. What 2 points changed? So first they said, ein derchin im oivik begas. You're not allowed to help a guy press the wine in the wine press, mishum de Rav Huna, because of the point that Rav Huna said that the wine of a guy will be yayin nesach, it will be asa bahana even before it's in the pit. Even on the gas itself in the wine press, as long as the wine is flowing, even before it flows down into the pit, but the wine that's flowing there becomes asa right away. And also the aim beitzrin in Yisrael, you may not cut grapes together with a yid she'isa pereisa betumah, that he does his peiris, his produce. He's not careful. It's all done betumah, so you may not participate with a yid to cut his grapes. V'kol shekain, and most definitely she'ein derchin. You may not help him in pressing his grapes in the wine press. Aval. However, this is another point here that this the Mishnah Achreina changes. Beitzrin im oivik begas. You're allowed to cut grapes with a guy that he's going to bring to his wine press, and the reason is shemuter ligroim tumah l'cholin sheberet Yisrael. This gzeira that there was in the beginning, the Mishnah Rishayna, that was a gzeira not to cause tumah in Eretz Yisrael. The Chachamim changed that. They removed this gzeira. You're allowed to cause tumah for cholin in Eretz Yisrael, and therefore to help a guy cut his grapes that he's going to bring to his wine press and cause tumah is not a problem. So here Rashi addresses and explains, so then why is it that it says that when you're helping another yid, that you're not allowed to help him cut his grapes or press his grapes, which will cause tumah? If by a guy you're allowed, so why is it that by a yid that you're not allowed? If they took away that gzeira of causing tumah to chulin in Eretz Yisrael, so Rashi explains, because by a yid, his produce, which is untithed produce, it's tevel. They didn't separate the truma from it yet, which means there's truma in this produce here, in these grapes, and therefore, even if for chulin you're allowed to cause tumah, but for truma you're not allowed to be metame truma. Rashi brings the pasuk that's menatayr. It says, "Vani hinin esati lachas mishmeres trumaisai." You're not allowed to cause tumah for truma. So by a yid, the grapes that he has, which is tevel, that has truma in it, that you're not allowed to cause tumah, and therefore you're not allowed to help the yid cut his grapes or press his grapes. But for the guy though, it's allowed, because over there it's not tevel, and therefore you're allowed to press the grapes together with him.